everyone, Jamie Makes here from Miss Paper, and today I'm sharing the small passport traveler's notebook that I put together to document a staycation my husband and I did for our anniversary this year. For the project, I designed a set of basic travel 3x4 cards that I used alongside some other travel products. So this is what my traveler's notebook looked like before I left for our vacation. I did a bit of pre-work using some Allie Edwards printables and some printables that I designed specifically for this type of project, which is just like a tiny traveler's notebook that is basically just an overview of your trip. And this could be the only thing that you document that you use to document your trip, or for me, it is the type of project where I would use this to document my trip while I was on it, and then when I got home I would do like a full album or some other type of project to document the trip. I think this is really good for very small trips, which is exactly what I'm going to be using it for in this video. But I just wanted to show you what it looks like before I put any images inside of it and do any journaling other than the very initial journaling where I talked about why we're taking this vacation, where we're going, and then also noted some of the plan or the itinerary for the trip. So these are all of the images that I printed to put inside my small passport traveler's notebook. As you can see, I don't have a lot of photos. This was just kind of a day and a half staycation that my husband and I took. But these are all the photos I'm going to use to document this trip in particular. So here's day 1 and here's day 2. And I had set up my notebook to do 2 full days. And obviously I don't have enough pictures to do 2 full days in the album or the second full day. So you will see how I kind of amend what I've already done in order to accommodate the less photos than I thought I might take. So I cut up all of the images that I plan to add to this little notebook, and I'm just plugging and playing where each of these images go. I added little post-it notes to remind myself what I wanted to go where, and some of the photos that I printed were 3x4 size and some were small, like these little food images I added in. So that is the end of day 1 photos. Moving on to day 2, I had to do a little bit of doctoring because I didn't have enough photos to fill all of the pages. So you see me here peeling up cards that I had already added in, and I'm peeling them up as gingerly as possible so I don't rip anything. And then I either adhere pages back to back or I cut them out. And then eventually we'll end up taping them down to make the notebook just a little bit more solid. And as you can see here, trying to do it as softly as possible. And then I just continue adding in all of my photos, and then I add my journaling in off camera. So next up is a walkthrough of the completed notebook. So this album is totally done. Let me open it up to show you. I keep it in this, what I call my traveler's notebook cover. I got this from Etsy, a seller on Etsy, and it was the same place that I got this cute little dragonfly tassel, and I will link that in the YouTube description box. But I thought I would do a final flip through, just kind of chatting through all of the various things. So here is my notebook inside of the traveler's notebook cover. At the back, I purchased these envelopes, the craft envelope and this plastic slide envelope holder thing, and I think these are really good for putting ephemera in as you're traveling, so that's a nice option to have there in the back. So on the cover, I went ahead and stamped anniversary using some alphabet stamps and just black ink. I laid the cover down like this since this came after, and I should have done it at the beginning, but I did this at the very end. And so I just stamped out anniversary there using black ink, added some lines. And so let me flip through and show you what this looks like. I added the alphabet number 5 here, since this is for our 5th anniversary trip. And at this point I had done all of the journaling and all of the embellishing. So I think at the beginning you saw that this was just a blank card. This I filled out pretty early. This, all I had to do was add in my photos and just filling in, journaling and adding in photos, adding in bits of washi here and there just to kind of balance things out. I added a few labels in just a few places. These don't look very different from how they did before I had before we'd gone on the trip and I had all of the photos and journaling and things to say filled in. One thing that I really love doing when we travel is just having my husband record his favorite moment from the trip. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to make sure to have this card label available, and I just asked him to quickly write in a sentence or two about his favorite moment from this first day. And then another decorative thing that I did was add in just some lines here and there to fill in spaces that I thought maybe looked a little bit empty, and to kind of just finish them off. So printed out these tiny photos and then just used my pen to add an X next to the respective category of these. On this page, this is one where I think that you could very easily add in photos for each of these things, or you could journal. So I didn't take a lot of photos because we were just really hanging out at the pool. So instead, I decided to write all of these in, and I like how that turned out. This was just the divider between day 1 and day 2. And day 2 was just kind of a half day. In the morning, my husband went golfing and I went and got a facial. And then we met up in the afternoon to have some lunch and then just to head back home. So I did journaling, I did a quick list of 5 things that I definitely wanted to remember coming home from this trip. And then here you see a page that I had to do a little bit of doctoring because in the video that you've just seen, or in the earlier segment of this video, I had cut down, I'd adhere some pages together, I'd cut them down just to kind of consolidate some of the pages because I didn't end up taking enough photos to fill in all of those pages. And so I just wanted to quickly get them out of the way. So I ended up adhering them together, cutting them down, and then I actually ended up adhering them to this background page using some of the washi tape. It's not the best setup, but since it unfortunately happened to be the very middle of the entire notebook, this is how I ended up having to deal with it, but it's totally fine. It's very structurally sound. It just looks kind of funky, but that's fine. And so we're getting here towards the end, the travel details of returning home, which was just down the road from our actual home. And then I took a picture at home in bed with my kitty. And then at the end here, I have just some ephemera from the trip. So here was our card. Here is a little thing that I could have traded in for some drinks or something. I don't know. I didn't even know that was there. So we missed out on that, but that's fine. It's just a little piece of ephemera to add to the back. And then we had wristbands for going to the pool and getting access to all that stuff. Here's a map of the entire resort. So I just glued it in to the back here. And then here's just some notes from my facial, like all the products that the esthetician used. So I just added that to the back. And then there's just a few empty open pages, and I'm totally fine with those just kind of hanging out back there and not bothering anyone or doing anything harm. So this is a pretty chunky little album, little traveler's notebook for just a day and a half trip, a day and a half staycation in my own hometown. So now that this is done, I'm going to transfer it out of this cover, because this is what I use when we're actually traveling, since it'll hold the notebook and it can easily hold ephemera, and also it has my pen, so all of this is ready to go. And I will be starting another little notebook for a beach trip that we're planning to take at the beginning of July. So I'm gonna set this aside for now. And I have one of the Travelers Company, it's like, it's a binder. I guess you could call it a binder. And it's just kind of like the storage option for your notebooks, I believe, when you're done. I think that's the intended use for this. I've seen other people do that as well. And I figured, I just thought it was adorable because it's tiny. Of course, I love the tiny things. So I opted to get this, and it comes with these little like metal bars that slot in at the top and the bottom. And so I will get to the middle of my album, which is right here. And you just stick it in at the top and at the bottom, and these do give a little bit, so there we go. That one's in, and so now it is housed in this little archival binder, so it's completed and done, and it'll go up on my shelf and look really cute there. This ended up being a really chunky one, so I'm thinking that you can probably really only have like 2 of these per little archival binder. Maybe you could fit 3 if you don't fill them up completely, or maybe don't have as many kind of thicker things there. But I'm not too worried about it. If I have to get more of these little binders, I will. And I love that it's now complete and it has its own home, and I can put this on my shelf and be totally happy with it.
Here are a few photos of the finished pages. I've posted still images over on Instagram at Misc Paper. That's MISC Paper. And you can also click the link in my YouTube banner. For info on the product I use, check out the links in the description box on YouTube. Specifically, the 3x4 travel cards are linked below, but can be found in my Etsy shop, which is also called Misc Paper. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to like it and or subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you. Jamie Makes, signing off.